Terry Bollea, known across the world as the immortal Hulk Hogan, passed away last week at the age of 71. Hulk will forever be celebrated as one of the most influential figures in professional wrestling, both for his character development and contributions he left in the ring. Though his past was rather complicated, tonight's episode will not highlight the negativity that surrounded him, but will be a tribute to both his memory and his legacy. Forever remembered, he is the immortal Hulk Hogan. Rest in power, brother.
The following program may contain language. Viewer discretion is advised.
The wrestling podcast that sets all other podcasts apart. Covering news from the world of WWE, AEW, TNA, and more. Your favorite weekly episodic podcast, Ramblers Unleashed, starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight on a very special edition of Ramblers Unleashed. I hate that we have to even do this, but man, tonight we are paying homage to one of the best that ever did it in and outside of the ring. That is the immortal Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, and I want to reiterate the fact that this is all positive, very, very positive. No negativity tonight. You will not, you won't hear any of the controversial stuff that surrounded Terry Bollea or, as we know him, Hulk Hogan. But we want to honor his memory. We want to honor his legacy, and we definitely want to pay our respects that way. Welcome to Tuesday nights, and joining me is our producer, and this is kind of weird, man. But let me formally introduce you as the man, the myth, the absolute legend. For without his tech wizardry and the gizmos that he brings to the show, plus his vast wrestling knowledge and his missus to give so kind to gift us his time to do this show. For without him, we wouldn't be here today. The host of Total Nonstop Impact with the latest TNA reviews on YouTube over any other podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the great and infamous J-Bone. J-Bone, how are you, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Last week was a rough one for anyone that grew up in the 80s with idols such as, Ozzy and Hogan. And, man, yeah, it was an emotional week. Spent a lot of time listening to Ozzy and watching old clips. What's up, Styles, in the chat?
What's up, brother? Oh man, yeah, it was a hell of a week. That's for damn sure. It's
especially for like a wrestling fan like me that just came out of being so happy and proud of TNA, and then all of a sudden you're up here, and then like the rest of the week, boom, you're down here. It's like, oh man, what a roller coaster, dude. It sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here tonight. We thank you for your time, for hanging out with us on every Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Darren and Max are on assignment, but Max did leave us with, of course, the introduction to the fifth member, and that, of course, is you. Max, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, Max Mage is here. I cannot be at the show tonight, but I still wanted to make introductions. First off, let me introduce the fifth member of the Ramblers Unleashed crew, all of you watching our show. For without you, we'd be four guys sitting around staring at each other on camera, and nobody wants that. So give it up for yourselves, the Ramblers Unleashed crew. And finally, a man who needs no introduction, the man without whom we wouldn't have the identity of the Ramblers, the man with the golden voice, the man really responsible for all of this, the man who puts the stories together for you, my best friend. Give it up for Dizzy.
Thank you very much, Max.
Now, even though I cannot be here tonight, I do want to say one thing. There is no denying the impact that Hulk Hogan had on the world of professional wrestling. So I will say that, and I will say sorry that I cannot make it tonight. Thank you for all of you that have tuned in, though.
Thank you so much, Max, for those words, and
That's nice.
very nice of Max. And it's hard to lose a childhood hero, to lose a legend such as Hulk Hogan. It's like if we lost Flair, how would how would the wrestling world react? I would assume it would be the same as how they've reacted to Hulk Hogan, because we had TNA paying tribute, we had Raw, SmackDown, and now tonight NXT paying tribute to the immortal Hulk Hogan. And the video package that WWE put together for Hulk was just incredible. Very, very, very moving. And before we start tonight, a very special thanks to ringsidenews.com for all the information you're going to hear tonight. And thank you for tuning in. Also, we have some really special pieces of audio for this tribute to Hulk Hogan. You're going to hear from some of my friends. You're going to hear from friends of the show. You're also going to hear from a very special person that helped launch this show off the ground. And that would be
and one of your oldest friends,
and one of my oldest childhood friends. Honestly, I mean, he and I watched wrestling together a long time, and he was the one that helped me launch this show, launch the Ramblers, and of course, I'm talking about Bubba. So we will have a special interview with Bubba tonight, but do want to give some shout outs to the chat. What's going on? William, Bill, thanks for checking us out tonight. CM Styles, thank you, brother. We'll hear from you a little later on in the show. We have Mir in the chat, and of course, our favorite Courtney is here. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. The pro wrestling world just is shook. Just shook. Hulk Hogan, the man who helped redefine professional wrestling for an entire generation, died at the age of 71 years old. TMZ Sports reported that emergency responders were called to Hogan's Clearwater, Florida home early Thursday morning for what was described as a cardiac arrest. And when the news broke, man, it just shook me. It was crazy, man.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you look all over the internet because you don't believe it's true and you're looking for validation.
Yeah.
I was actually I was in a Instagram chat. I had just gotten where is it? It's right up. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
There's a custom Trick Williams up there.
Oh yeah.
And I was just chatting to the guy that gave me the custom outfit to put on it. I was thanking him and letting him know it turned out real nice and that appreciated his work and stuff. And he's actually the one that told me, he's like, yeah, I just heard a report from TMZ that Hulk Hogan passed away. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not right. That's got to be some fake news or something. Sure enough, usually what I do is I jump on Twitter because that's one of the fastest, you catch some kind of news off of.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sure enough, it was. And oh man, yeah, like the instant lump in the throat, just.
It was hard to fathom. I was at work and sitting there and ironically ringsidenews.com popped up and said, broke the story. And I said, what? And I opened it and I mean, my jaw just dropped, cause you never want to think that your childhood hero could pass away like that. And so suddenly too, he didn't even look sick.
No, he look, if you look, they started showing some recent pictures of him lately when he was doing his, like media stuff around the last couple months.
Mhm.
And yeah, his eyes looked a little peaked, but other than that, man, he was still in great shape. I mean, I don't want to I don't want to dive into a big political thing here, but one of his last big public things he did was in Milwaukee,
Mhm.
just miles from here at the Republican
National convention for Trump.
convention.
Yeah.
And he looked amazing. It was man, he got that whole Pfizer forum popping, you know. It was
Yeah.
just
And
I mean,
we saw him on Monday Night Raw on the debut on Netflix. He
yeah.
looked fine, so it's just a shock, man. And I tell you, who was devastated the most, and that was Ric Flair. TMZ interviewed him. I saw an interview, and
Yeah.
Ric Flair was just in absolute tears, and he broke his silence on the passing of his longtime friend and icon, Hulk Hogan. He shared an emotional tribute on social media, and here's what Rick tweeted. I am absolutely shocked to hear about the passing of my close friend, Hulk Hogan. Hulk has been by my side since we started in the wrestling business, an incredible athlete, talent, friend, and father. Our friendship has meant the world to me. He was always there for me when I didn't ask him to be. He was one of the first to visit me when I was in the hospital with a 2% chance of living. He prayed by my bedside. Hulk also lent me money when Reed was sick. Hulkster, no one will ever compare to you. Rest in peace, my friend. And not only was it Ric Flair, man, but tons of wrestlers like Triple H paid tribute to Hulk Hogan, and he tweeted the following: WWE would not be where it is today without the larger than life characters that compete in the ring, and few, if any, loomed larger than Terry Hulk Hogan Balea. He was the archetype of what it meant to be a superstar, a global sensation that inspired millions to work hard at whatever it is that they wanted to accomplish, and a look that made him recognizable to fans around the world. Hulk Hogan clad in red and yellow, or NWO black and white, but simply put, iconic. As a real American, or the leader of one of the industry's biggest factions, he transcended and elevated the entire business to heights never seen before in every country on every continent. There's no one like there was no one like the Hulkster, and there very well may never be another. My family sends their condolences to his family, friends, and fans. And not only was it Triple H, but Jimmy Hart. That kind of got me, man.
Oh, yeah. He's been with him for
Yeah,
decades.
yeah. Longtime manager of Hogan, Jimmy Hart paid an emotional tribute to Hogan on social media. He said, "quote What can you say when losing a best friend? First, to Hulk's family, I love you. I am here for you all. Hulkster will always, Hulkster, you always kept me close to you through everything. It was an honor. We traveled the world back and forth. Wherever we went, Hulkamania was alive, brother. The fans always came out. We loved every minute of it. We made more people smile than I'll ever be able to count. These are the memories that I'll cherish forever. Thank you for a 4-decade ride. I will keep the megaphone going. Red and yellow will live on. Legends never die, baby. I love you, Terry. Hulkamania forever." Um, Man, even Kevin Nash, he posted an extremely heartfelt letter after learning of Hogan's passing. He said, "I lost another brother. Icon doesn't even touch it. Rest in power, my friend. NWO for life and beyond." Kevin Nash, of course, Hulk Hogan, and Scott Hall changed the world of pro wrestling back in the WCW days when Hulk joined the NWO, turning heel for the first time. The NWO's influence in business is truly something no one can ever measure up to, no matter what. And this comes after Scott Hall passed away back in 2022. So Kevin Nash is really mourning the loss of another brother right now, and all the fans all over the world can sympathize with what Nash is feeling right now. And we invite you in the chat to join in. Tell us your favorite Hulk memory. What Hulkster meant to you. J-Bone, I'm going to leave it to you, man. What did the Hulkster mean to you? What's your favorite Hulk memory?
Oh man, I've got a few of them.
Mhm.
I mean it's some of my earliest memories of wrestling. I don't think I remember watching. I mean, of course, I watched it later in life, but I don't think I watched the first WrestleMania live, but that second WrestleMania live, number 2, with Hogan versus Bundy in that classic blue steel cage.
Yep.
That is one of my first memories in wrestling. Of course, 3 was epic across the board. Some of Hogan's biggest moments were here in Milwaukee. He did a famous event called WrestleFest, which is at the classic, now gone, County Stadium. That's on Peacock. You can look that up. That was kind of like an individual event in itself. And that was caught on film, and that featured Andre and Hogan in a steel cage. And I think it was shortly after WrestleMania 3 is when that was. That same summer, my dad took me to State Fair, the Wisconsin State Fair, and it's real blurry, man, because I was so little, but I know Hogan wrestled at that event. Hillbilly Jim and the midgets were there at that time, which I don't know if you remember the midgets from back then, but that was a pretty unique thing. But yeah, that was a hot day at Wisconsin State Fair. That was a lot of fun. What else? Oh, and then later in life, when I was in my 20s and actually started going to wrestling events on my own or with friends.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first ones I went to was No Way Out.
Yes.
The return of the NWO to the WWE. And I know that's not everyone's favorite NWO stuff, but for me, man, just being in the crowd and seeing Hulk Hogan again, kind of like for the first time again, here in that Bradley Center, which is also gone now. It's wild. Excuse me. Here in that Bradley Center, just quake with cheers for when it was time for Hogan to speak. And I watched that back the other day, that opening of that pay-per-view when they came out and they were talking to the crowd, and yeah, they were heels and they were full of crap, and it was hilarious. And then, they give Hogan the microphone and the crowd just erupts for him. Mm-hmm. And you could see him get emotional before he starts to talk, like, oh man, I'm back, I'm home. And it's just, man, it's just an awesome moment. It's as goofy as they were, as heelish as they were, man, just, it was a moment. It was so much fun. That whole pay-per-view was so much fun. But the NWO stuff, of course, prior to that WrestleMania, is the stuff that stands out, of which of course leads to Hogan versus The Rock.
Yeah, that's
which some called one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time.
It really was, honestly. For me, I was in the middle of WWF and WCW, and I remember Hogan jumping ship, and I remember, Nitro and the third man, who's the third man, blah, blah, blah. And then when Hogan was introduced as the third man, I didn't get to see that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see that. But what I did get to see was the Nitro after the pay-per-view.
Okay.
And man, that was just jaw-dropping for me, as it was, I think, for everybody else. But
oh yeah.
It's no stranger. I'm from St. Louis, and the he was no stranger to St. Louis and the region here either. From wrestling at the Chase, also known as the Kiel Center, to making his WWF return after beating Bill Dixon in 1983. He had a few moments here in the gateway to the West, and he stomped around the St. Louis grounds, man, and it's just crazy how magnificent of a career Hulk Hogan really had. And I asked some friends of mine if they could come on and share some of their memories. And a good friend of mine, a fellow broadcaster, and a massive wrestling fan. Matter of fact, fun fact about him. We were at work one day and it was Halloween, and he showed up as Ric Flair, and he walked into the office and wooing, and he had the belt, he had the robe, he had everything. It was the most brilliant thing I've ever seen in my life. And his name is Matt Pilger. He has sent over a message talking about his favorite memory of Hulk Hogan.
This is Matt Pilger, reporter and anchor at Missouri Net News in Jefferson City, longtime wrestling fan. And of course, it was very sad to hear the passing of the late, great Hulk Hogan last week. And sharing my favorite memory of Hulk would have to be his 1984 win over the Iron Sheik to win the then WWF World Championship. That really launched Hulkster's career. Other favorite memories for me, watching Hulk Hogan whenever I was growing up as a child. Every Saturday morning, WWF actually had a cartoon that they would air, and the Hulkster was on there, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, Junkyard Dog, to mention a few names from the past. I think Hulk Hogan turning heel and joining the NWO, also another huge memory, and started the Monday Night Wars between WWE and WCW. Hulk Hogan brought wrestling to the mainstream, and he will always be remembered fondly.
Thank you, Matt.
Nice.
Absolutely. He brought wrestling to the mainstream, and he made wrestling cool. He really did, with all of his work. I was watching tributes to him, and I forgot the where he started training Mean Gene Okerlund and made him drink the raw eggs.
Oh man!
Do you remember that? Where
that was
running. It was like Rocky, and I don't know what they were training for, but Mean Gene was not having those raw eggs, man. And Hogan took him like a champ, dude.
Yeah, that was one of the things is that when you mentioned that they shared a picture of that during the Raw tribute, the opening.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of them like flexing in the ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, look at Mean Gene. It's like, he was such a character, man.
Oh,
he is also dearly missed.
Yeah. Linda McMahon broke her silence on the passing of Hulkster. She said, she posted on social media, quote, "I had the privilege of knowing and working with Hulk Hogan for over 40 years. Hulk was a dear friend and a member of our WWE family. His legacy in and out of the ring will always be remembered. He was one of a kind. My thoughts and prayers are with his family, his friends, and all of his fans." And honestly, I don't know if you saw this, J-Bone, but in a rare public message, Vince McMahon too spoke out.
I heard he left I heard he put a message out, and what's interesting is I just read today that just prior to that, on the same day, he was in a horrible accident.
Yeah,
and look, he's we all have our different opinions on Vince McMahon, but I don't wish any harm on the guy by any means. I mean, do I want justice to happen someday? Yeah, but I don't wish him to be hurt or nothing. So,
right.
Yeah, it's like, geez Louise. But yeah, go ahead.
But in a very touching tweet, Vince wrote the following: "The world lost a treasure today. Hulk Hogan was the greatest WWE superstar of all time, someone who was loved and admired all around the world. He was a trailblazer, the first performer who transitioned from being a wrestling star into a global phenomenon. His grit and unbridled thirst for success were unparalleled and made him the consummate performer. He gave everything he had to the audience, whom he appreciated, respected, and loved. he leaves us with one of his favorite expressions: train, take your vitamins, and say your prayers. Today, we pray for him. And another one who really doesn't get too emotional is Steve Austin, but he broke his silence on Hogan's passing. And here's what the Rattlesnake said, quote, Hulk Hogan was born to be a professional wrestler, larger than life, charisma for days. He was in a stratosphere all of his own. His contributions are immense. His influence will be forever. Hulkamania lives on. My condolences to his family and loved ones. And I don't know, J-Bone, if you saw the tribute that Madison Square Garden left for Hulk Hogan, but MSG delivered a very powerful farewell to Hogan hours after the WWE Hall of Famer's death was confirmed. A massive black and white tribute lit up the front of the historic venue in New York City. The display featured an image of Hogan in his prime, hoisted above a crowd with the words, "Rest in peace, Hogan, 1953-2025. Now, for generations of fans who saw Hogan headline the unforgettable nights inside of MSG, the tribute felt very, very deeply personal. The moment wasn't just a nod to Hogan's legacy. It was a statement about his place in wrestling history. MSG is often called the Mecca of sports entertainment, and it rarely extends honors like this, but Hogan just wasn't just anyone. I mean, he was a guy that helped turn Madison Square Garden into sacred ground for the WWE. Very, very fitting tribute for MSG. Now,
that's where Hulkamania was born, man.
Absolutely.
That's where he pinned Sheiky.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yeah. You know, and Hogan wasn't shy, unfortunately, about controversy. And there's been some very ugly people tweeting some very mean things and posting some very mean things about Hogan. And, you know, some of these guys are not having it, including Raw general manager Adam Pearce. He paid tribute to Hogan after the legend's death, but it didn't take long for the comment section to turn toxic. Now, Pearce is drawing a very clear line, calling out those who came to post hate. And here is what he said, and I love Adam Pearce for this. He said, quote, "If you've come here to post negativity about Hulk Hogan on the day of his passing, you've missed the point of my page. If your opinions are hate-filled or fueled by vitriol, you're wholly entitled to have whatever opinion you want. Save it for your platforms. We all feel how we feel. We're human, and we all see things the way we choose. It's our personal choice. I'm not telling anyone how or what to feel. Location, I have some say in. I don't care if you hated him or loved him, but emotions were earned. That said, this is not the location for the placement of negativity. Respect it. Thanks, AP." You know, even Tony Schiavone called out a troll after Hogan tribute turned ugly. And, you know, honestly, J-Bone, there's a time and place for negativity. And this isn't it, man.
Right. Yeah. I get it. Wrestling is a subjective fan base. You know, you can love who you love, you hate who you hate, and whatever. But man, so many of it's just like this tribal stuff, and I don't think a lot of people get it. You know,
right? I don't understand. I don't understand the hate. I mean, I personally, I can't hate somebody who's gone, you know, who's not here with us anymore. And I really do think he was trying to change. And I think he just ran out of time to make those changes in his life and the wrongs that he was trying to right. And I think that he just ran out of time. And J-Bone, you know, we have a really good friend of the show. His name is Chris Oney, a very long time friend of the show, and J-Bone and myself. And Oney shared a video message, and I'll pull that up here in just a few moments. But
okay,
you know, everybody has their own memories of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
This is really, really neat. I hope you'll be able to hear the audio. And this is Chris Oney and his tribute to Hulk Hogan.
Really had to think on what I wanted to say here. But I really think about it. I think Hulk Hogan's probably what got me into wrestling. Of course, I started watching late 95, 96 WCW. That was all I watched back then until they got bought out. But yeah, the big turning point, of course, was Hulk Hogan showing up, joining up with Nash and Hall. From that moment, I was hooked. NWA guy, O guy, forever. I was trying to look through my stuff and find out like one of my favorite other memories from back then, and I found this cover. Well, it's the whole book, but yeah. So Hogan and Rodman, two of my favorite things as a kid: Chicago Bulls and Hollywood Hulk Hogan, NWO. You know, it was just good times. Like, say what you will, but man, Hulk Hogan changed the wrestling landscape forever, and he's always going to be remembered. It's just how it is. Joy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Oni.
Thank you very much, Oni. And, you know, our friend G-Rod, who was on our show recently, he shared a very personal message about the passing of Hulk Hogan as well. Let's listen in.
Hey, it's G-Rod here. Hope everyone's well. I'm going to preface by saying, out of respect for my friends here at Ramblers, I'm going to choose to stay positive and talk about two of my favorite memories of the character Hulk Hogan. You can't say Hulk Hogan without saying pro wrestling or sports entertainment or whatever you want to call it. He's the guy who put it on the map. And two of my favorite memories, obviously, is the NWO, the formation of the NWO. I was a big WCW guy when I was younger. I remember watching him turn heel, the third man, on an illegal black cable box with my dad. It was great. I remember that. And it was just a shocking moment and still my favorite top 3 moments of all time. Secondly is renting Coliseum videotapes from West Coast Video that turned into Blockbuster. And then I ended up able to keep a couple of those when Blockbuster went out of business, which one of them is the WrestleMania 4 double tape VHS tape, and you open it up, it's Hulk Hogan. That pops out, which is super cool. And WrestleMania 6, obviously, being my favorite WrestleMania of all time. And that's because I was a big Warrior fan. So him beating Hogan for the title and passing the torch there for a little bit was great. It was a fun match. Not the greatest wrestling match of all time, but a really good show of sports entertainment. And I wish nothing but the best and love to his family and friends. And rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much, G-Rod. Appreciate those words. And Sean's right, man. You can't forget the mega powers, dude. I mean,
man,
mega powers. You talk about that, and you could just go on and on and on. What a tag team they were, man.
I forgot to mention one because I was talking about stuff that happened locally around here. One of the most famous mega power moments happened Saturday night's main event, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Bradley Center. And it's not a positive one, but it's a negative one. And it's when the mega powers broke up. Yeah. And they had that huge fight backstage, and then Elizabeth got, hurt, and Beefcake got thrown across the room. Now, I wasn't at that one, but my cousin Michelle, who's also up in heaven right now, she was fighting leukemia, and she was a teenager at the time. And I heard through my cousin Matt, her brother, that she got to meet all sorts of wrestlers that night, including her favorite, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and she got to meet Brother Love and many others. Yeah. And man, it's a controversial storyline, just because of the mega powers exploded. But man, I got goosebumps just thinking about it, because man, that was just man, I just everyone's got pride in their own city for their own wrestling stuff, but I'm like, man, I really feel like Milwaukee's got some pretty good ones.
I think they, you know what? I think so too, man. I think St. Louis has some really good stories too. I haven't really dived into stories of wrestling in the past at the Chase, and because gosh, man, the Chase was such an iconic place to watch wrestling. My great grandmother watched wrestling on TV from the Chase on Channel 11,
Nice.
on KPLR in St. Louis. So it's just we all have those special memories of Hogan, and again, we invite you to share yours in the comments below. One of the people that I was actually thinking about when I heard of Hogan's passing was Diamond Dallas Page. He opened up about the emotional moment that he found out his close friend Hulk Hogan passed away, and the story that hit fans really hard. I don't know if you heard about this, but speaking on Busted Open Radio, DDP revealed that he was in the middle of a wellness event for his DDP yoga program when he received the news. Despite feeling physically drained and battling an eye infection, DDP showed up to support his community. But what started as a positive moment ended up with shocking news. He recalled how his wife Paige pulled him aside unexpectedly after a group photo, and here's what he said: "But she was stern with me. I didn't get it, and then she took me to the back room with my business partner Steve, and they told me, and that just took my breath away. And I knew Hulk was facing some adversity, but he always kicks out. He always kicks out. So that kind of knocked me on my ass." End quote. Before the conversation, though, DDP again nearly skipped the event due to feeling sick, saying he had an issue with his eye, but something told him to push through. And he said, and I quote, "I got a virus in my eye. There's nothing you can do. They've got some kind of gauze that I'm getting today, hopefully, but I really feel like dog shit. And everybody's expecting me to come, but and I just can't cake out. And right before I say, fuck it, man, you again, I told my doc my doc told me to just put some ice on it. And he said I kicked out. I went there. I prepared something really amazing for the one group of people, and I'll go back again and do it again tomorrow." And that's just that's the kind of power that Hogan left behind is even if you feel like kicking out, or if you feel like, taking the 3 count, don't kick out, man. Kick out. And, Hogan, like we talked about earlier, Hogan had a lot of controversy in his life. One of those was the tape of when he said some things that he probably shouldn't have. But now Devon Dudley has come to Hogan's defense over this whole racist remarks following the Hulkster's recent passing. While speaking on Duke Love's Wrestling podcast, Devon Dudley talked about the comments that Hogan made in the past. And he said he doesn't support or excuse what Hogan said, especially as a black man who knows how painful those words were. But he also believes everyone has said or done things that they regret, and that forgiveness matters. He mentioned the Bible teaches that if you don't forgive others, you won't be forgiven yourself. Devon also said people can't ignore everything Hogan did for wrestling. Without Hogan, there might not be a WWE, an AEW, a TNA, or even the strong wrestling business we have today. And he believes Hogan helped make wrestling what it is now, and he absolutely did. Dudley shared a story about Hogan apologizing to him in person, and Hogan told him that he wasn't that kind of person and felt like social media was making him out to be someone he wasn't. Here's what Devon said, and I quote: "He apologized to me. He pulled me aside and said, 'Devon, I'm not that type of person. I'm not. They're killing me on social media. They're making me feel like I am. I know I might have said things in the past or done things in the past. Brother, I love you.' And you know what? He didn't have to tell me that. He didn't have to pull me aside and say that, but he did. In his world, you really think about it, and I'm not taking anything away from myself, but I'm a nobody compared to what this man has done. He didn't have to do that with me, but he did. He said, 'Devon, I love you, brother. I love and respect everything you've done. how you've gotten yourself out of this hole. And no matter how many times they try to knock you down, you keep getting up. I have so much respect for you. And that was them. And that is powerful. That is powerful. I think that's a good reminder that we need to forgive. We need to forgive. We need to move on, because if we don't forgive him or anyone who's ever wronged us, we really can't forgive ourselves. And we're not perfect. J-Bone, you and I are imperfect. We've made mistakes in the past.
Right. Who are we to judge?
Absolutely. And
that's for the big guy upstairs to do that.
Absolutely. And it's now, I mean, if you've had disdain for Hogan, maybe for the fact of how his career was, or how he, took his career in WCW, really didn't give a lot of guys a lot of time on the stage, or put guys over or anything like that. That's one thing. That's totally one thing.
That's a business thing.
That's a
just
business thing.
yeah.
But a personal thing, a person thing, a Terry Bollea thing. He was really a good dude. I've got to watch a lot of videos. I've done some history on him. He did multiple charities. I think he granted over 200 make-a-wishes.
Yeah.
So, and he also had his leg drop. And I forgive me, I don't know what it was actually called, but it was for trying to get legs for amputees.
Oh.
And he was heavily involved in that. And there was a bunch of other charities that he was involved in. And I really do think that, like I said before, and I will continue to say this, I really do think that he was trying to right his wrongs. But I think he just ran out of time.
Well, he and his wife got baptized shortly before he passed away, like a month before his passing. So that's talking about trying to turn your life around. You can't do much more than giving it to the big guy upstairs. It's that's amazing. That he and his wife, as far as trying to just reconnect and make sure so I feel like that tells me maybe he knew that his time was limited. You want to talk about stories from just other people. I saw an interview done from a guy I watched on YouTube, Benny Johnson. He covers a lot of news stuff. He did an interview with a guy that was outside the Clearwater Hogan shop down in Florida, Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just outside, like the seating area there. And he was kind of just leaning on a fence, looked really down, sad, looked really distraught. And he went up to him and he was like, "Hey, can you talk about what Hogan meant to you?" And he said, "He saved my daughter's life." And he's like, "Oh, can you expand on that?" And he said, "My daughter was fighting cancer and it wasn't going well. So he bought her a plane ticket to get her down to Florida and try to have some time with her, because he didn't know how it was going to go, for her." And so they were walking around the area and they were walking up to the shop, and she looked in his shop, the Hulk Hogan beach shop, and said, I want to meet him. I want to meet him." And so they called, he wasn't at the store at the time. They called him up and he came through town to the shop.
Wow.
And spent time with him and his daughter, and he took his daughter just a couple blocks away down to the beach, and they walked the beach for hours for the rest of the day.
Wow.
I can't even, that's just,
how can you hate a guy like that, man?
that's Hogan.
Yeah. How could you hate a guy like that? The wrestling world really, really came out and they showed out for Hogan. TNA Impact opened with a Hogan tribute following his death. J-Bone, I know you caught that as it happened.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of wrestling fans, TNA fans, when you talk about Hogan related to TNA stuff, isn't always positive. But man,
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. Um, I don't necessarily blame him for the negative side of things that happened in the business towards TNA. I look at it as whoever was in charge at the time was just trying to be competitive, but in the long run, they were trying to turn it into they were trying to turn TNA into something it wasn't. But as far as, Hogan's memories in TNA, there's some good ones. It's,
Yeah.
is it perfect? No, by any means, and he brought along some jokers that didn't exactly fit in TNA. But I had fun watching that. It was an interesting time. I mean, that's like one of the last things that wrestling being on Monday night, two different companies trying to compete with each other after the Attitude Era. So that was interesting for a bit, So
Yeah, and I know Hogan tried to revive TNA. I know he tried to make it the brand that what he thought it should be, much similar to the WWE, and
right.
it just didn't get there. And I think TNA suffered just a little bit because of that. One of the greatest factions that came out of TNA, and I don't know if Hogan had anything to do with it, but it was Aces and Eights, and it was heavily influenced by the New World Order.
Oh yeah,
but-
that was when Bully Ray turned on Hogan and his family, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
but he had such an impact on others too, man. Like Dana White paid tribute to Hulk Hogan on his social media platform, as well as Sylvester Stallone too, saying some really kind words, and he'll miss him. Was really cool to see Nick Hogan. He was spotted in the locker room and stood with him at Monday Night Raw during the tribute for his father. Nick broke his silence recently, saying thank you to everyone who has reached out to me and comforted me over the last few days. It truly means a lot. I'm sorry to everyone I have not responded to yet. This has been overwhelming and extremely difficult. Hearing so many kind words and stories about my dad's life, interactions, and experiences with everyone has been incredible and comforting. My dad was the most incredible person I've ever known, and will always be my hero. He was the most kind, loving, and amazing father anybody could ever ask for. I feel so blessed to have had the greatest dad in the world. He was not only the best dad, but also my mentor and my best friend. He's always been my best friend, and I love him and miss him more than I could ever explain. I thanked him for everything he has ever done for me and told him how much I loved him and hugged him every chance I got. I spent a lot of time with him in the past few years after moving back to Florida to be closer to him, and I'm grateful, so grateful for those memories. They are the best moments of my life. I would do anything to have him back, but I now know he will always be watching over me. I will always remember the lessons and advice he gave me and carry on in a way that I know would make him proud. Thank you for being the best dad in the world, and thank you for being my best friend. I love you so much, big dog, and I will miss you forever. And you got to think of all of his kids and his wife and the rest of his family who are just mourning this terrible, terrible loss.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
it's very, very sad. And we asked CM Styles, a longtime friend of the show, from Destroying Kayfabe, to share some of his thoughts of the passing of the immortal one, Hulk Hogan, and CM Styles was very kind to send us this.
Hey y'all, CM Styles here from Destroying Kayfabe. Today we're going to talk a little about one of the greatest legends of all time. We just recently lost him last week at age 71. He goes by the name of Terry Bollea, also known as the Immortal Hulk Hogan. When we reflect on some of his past, one of the greatest wrestlers that come out of the 70s and 80s. he was one of my childhood heroes, along with Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Paul Orndorff. Some of my favorite moments from this guy, you know, being able to body slam Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, starting to make powers with the Macho Man Randy Savage, and of course, one of his biggest losses in the world, losing to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6. But moving forward from there, one of my favorite things from the Hulkster himself, jumping ship for the WWF, now WWE, over to WCW, forming the NWO with Hall and Nash, building up one of the world's largest factions in the wrestling industry, being one of the greatest competitors to the WWF at the time. This man we all knew as the GOAT, the icon, the legend, the immortal one. He gave us everything in the ring, regardless of all the controversy. He will always go down as one of the greatest. Besides that, he was more than just a wrestler. He was an entertainer. He did have an acting background, and he had one hell of a personality. I don't care how people feel about the controversy, but for me, he will always be one of my favorites. Doesn't matter about the personal life of a person. It's always about the in-ring character. May God forever be with you. Rest in power, Hulkster, for destroying kayfabe and Ramblers Unleashed. We wish your family the very best, and we all send our condolences.
Thank you very much, Styles. Very, very well said. Very well said, brother.
Thanks, Styles. Love you, brother.
Another friend of mine, I asked if he could share some of his words. His name is Chris, and I asked him to share his favorite memory of Hulk Hogan, and here's what he told me.
I don't think you can really narrow down Hulk Hogan into one moment. But if I had to pick one, I would just simply pick the impact that he had on professional wrestling, period. There's been a lot of big names over the years, but it's hard to pick somebody who actually impacted an entire industry in the way that Hulk Hogan did. I mean, going back to when Vince McMahon started to, break the rules of the wrestling industry by, staying in a territory. He took Hogan from another territory and made him his top guy for the WWF. And everything since then, I think you can attribute to Hulk Hogan. So his impact is second to none, really. Anybody who to this day has been in a commercial or on a talk show or in a movie or in mainstream somehow can be attributed to Hulk Hogan. I think he was one of the first that made wrestling cool. Like, you didn't want to talk about wrestling, but you could be like, ooh, the Hulkster, and everybody's like, yeah, brother, So I think that that's just the biggest thing that I can say about Hulk Hogan is he really changed an industry in the same way that a football player would change the NFL, or an actor would change acting in the movies, things like that. So he's going to be missed. It's sad knowing that yet another wrestler from our childhood is no longer with us.
Thank you, Chris. It is sad that our childhood is, dude. I feel like our childhood is kind of dying.
Yeah, it's tough, man. You get older, and shoot, I turned 51 this year, and especially, I've got my two main loves in life, and it's wrestling and music. And like I said, this last week was just a doozy, man. I grew up listening to Rat, Motley Crue, Whitesnake, Ozzy, all the, I mean, you call it, I can't believe you actually have to call it classic rock now, but that is today's classic rock.
It is.
So between all of that stuff, starting to listen to hard rock and heavy metal in the 80s, and then at the same time growing up like watching wrestling and discovering that, and like going over to like my friend's house on a Saturday morning, and he would play I don't remember if it was live or not, but he'd always pop in a bunch of wrestling tapes of stuff he recorded from the last week or whatever. To a guy, remember VCRs, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'd be watching like WCW stuff and the Four Horsemen and Luger and the Road Warriors, and granted, Hogan wasn't with them at that time because that goes back to the mid to late 80s. But still, just wrestling in general, man, it was just so different back then. It was just larger than life, and
it really
was. I tell you, that just listening to Hulk Hogan's theme, I found a good version of the old classic Rick Derringer song, Real American. And it just, cranked it in my earphones a few times in a row. And and then I found the old video of Hulk Hogan strumming on his guitar, and just such good memories, man.
I can't listen to Jimi Hendrix the same without thinking of Hulk Hogan coming out to that music as Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And
that's right. He had a Jimi Hendrix. What was it? It
was the Voodoo Child. That's the song that he came out to. That's the song he walked out to on his
Standing High on a Mountain. Yeah. That one? Yeah. Oh man, that's
up and down with the edge of my hand.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what you felt like he could do. You felt like he could just stand next to one of the biggest, tallest like Mount Everest, and just knock it over with a slap from his hand. And that's just the power that he had, man. Dennis Rodman joining the NWO really trendsetted the wrestling industry. The NWO and as a whole trendsetted the wrestling industry and just really put it on the map. And I mean, gosh, you had guys like Rodman and Karl Malone coming over to WCW to wrestle, and you had all these superstars that were in maybe basketball or football or whatever coming over, and Hogan brought those guys over, man. It's just incredible the impact that he had on our industry, and I call it our industry because it is our industry. We love this industry. We think of it as our own,
right?
And the amount of impact that he had on professional wrestling can't be duplicated. It really can't be duplicated. I remember we'll talk to Bubba here in just a few moments, but I remember getting an old tape from somebody that I knew back where I grew up near St. Louis, and I said, "Look, I want to see WrestleMania," and it was the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, and she recorded the whole pay-per-view on tape. Her son did, and that was just the coolest. And I've always wanted to see one of those old Hulk Hogan pay-per-views. And when the WWE Network came out, I watched it like a ton of those old Halloween Havocs with Hogan. I watched the NWO pay-per-views. I watched the Great American Bash, all those with Hogan. And it was something that I had never seen. So it's like I was a kid again, diving into back into the storylines that was going on, man. And it was awesome to hear that. And one of the guys that I grew up with was Bubba, and Bubba we watched wrestling, like Bubba and I got into wrestling like big time. Matter of fact, that's why we have this show here. And he was one of the many people who helped me build this show and take it to new heights. And I got to sit down and talk to Bubba over the phone not too long ago, and I asked him how he felt, and I want to play this for everybody because it's nice to hear Bubba's voice. On the phone with me, one of the guys that was very intricate in starting this whole podcast venture with Ramblers, rambling about wrestling, turning it into Ramblers Unleashed. And on the phone with me, my best friend from high school and the guy that helped me launch this whole podcast off the ground is my buddy Bubba. Bubba, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I would like to say I'm glad to be back, and my opinions, my je ne sais quoi, and I'm sorry I can't talk or think, but my whole vibe is vastly different than and I was just talking to you offline. It's like you've been doing this for a decade.
Yep.
It's crazy that the longevity that you and J-Bone and Max and it's crazy and Barrett, and how much stuff has changed in my life, your life, in society in general in that decade.
It has. And
congratulations. I know I haven't been on in many years, but congratulations. You're all just to stay as a group of friends without killing each other for a long period of time is something to be marveled, especially in this day and age.
Well, it is, and you're always a part of the family, and I mean you were as intricate as setting this podcast off as anyone else, as any of the other guys. So, we want to thank you for your contributions to this program too. And thanks for taking. Well, I mean, hey, thanks for taking time to sit down and talk to me. We had I don't know if you realize this, Bubba, but we had several different people that had passed away. First, we lost Connie Francis, and I know she was a popular pop song singer back in the 50s. We also lost Malcolm Jamel Warner. We lost obviously Ozzy Osbourne, which we paid tribute to him on the show. Because he was intricate in wrestling too. Yeah. I mean, in the Hall of Fame, and he was such a character that was just so intricate in setting off the WWE. But another name, the one of the biggest names that helped the WWE become what it is today, it really wouldn't be what it is today without Hulk Hogan. And you and I, we spent a ton of time in your parents' living room and in my living room watching professional wrestling. And we watched Nitro. We watched WWF. We watched we watched Nitro when the NWO was just starting. I remember I got an old VHS tape, a recording off from somebody for WrestleMania.
Oh, yes. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. And
I didn't watch it live. I don't think I watched the NWO live, but I'm going to go back, and I think I started watching in 2002 because were we graduated yet? Because we graduated the same school, same year, everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
03.
Oh, yes, 2004. I went to college. I remember.
Yeah.
Because right before I went to college, I was like, oh man, I'm going to miss, sitting down with Disney. And it was right when John Cena had his Spirit of St. Louis jersey on, and he debuted on Raw in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I wasn't with you then. I was like right when I was transitioning to go to college.
Yeah.
But as I was going to college, I was watching Raw, and the first thing I was thinking of was like, man, I miss watching this with you.
Yeah. And, it's crazy to think that we've lost all these influential people. And when I heard the news of Hogan, I know you heard the news, but when I want you to tell me what you felt. But when I heard the news of Hogan passing, it was like, I mean, we lost Ozzy and then we lost Hulk Hogan, and that was the blow that I didn't need.
I would say this: fate is very cruel sometimes, and I know it's heavy, but
it is. But it's true.
And I'm going to say this: Terry Bollea.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use the real name because I think it's important.
He's
no longer with us.
Right.
That's his Christian name. That's him.
Yeah.
He was a flawed person. We're all flawed people, And I'll just throw it out there. He said some things that were obviously horrible, but to say that completely defined that person is not right. Terry Bollea was more than that. 3 seconds of audio or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
He was more than the rumors. He was a piece of everyone's life from 1984 to I'd say end of WCW.
And then you have to think about the time that he spent back in the WWF when they carried over the NWO after the buyout.
Right, but the important time is in I would say my perspective, and a lot of people's perspective, when they're childs, when their brains are growing, when they're developing personalities and developing themselves and their essence, and say, hey, he, outside of the stuff that he did outside of the ring,
mm-hmm.
if you looked at him objectively, he brought so much happiness and togetherness and love to just households across the entire world. And you could say, all those bad things, but think about when you were a kid. I have a 9-year-old now, and I transport him back to 1988, just sitting there and watching Hulk Hogan in live TV. And I'm not saying like my son. Let's say you put yourself in that frame.
Yeah.
You're 8 years old, 9 years old,
yep.
And there he is. And the happiness that you had when he came on the screen, when Real American hit, is something genuine, and it's something that will never, ever, ever be replicated.
Absolutely. It's we have to. You're absolutely right, Bubba. We're all flawed people. We all make mistakes. What Terry Bollea did, not cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not cool.
Right. We don't agree with that, but that's not his. That's 3 seconds in time.
Exactly.
Of Terry Bollea being on. How many, let's say, days, weeks, months has Terry Bollea been on TV? If you stitch and edit our time from start to finish, his face has been on TV.
Yeah.
I don't want to draw a full comparison of what he was for 3 seconds of hate that he spewed. 3 seconds, it might have been more, probably was more. I look at objectively what he did to our society. And honestly, that was a big part of everyone's lives. And like I told you offline, it's those memories of you sitting with your mom, dad, your family, and watching, Raw or WrestleMania, if you've got the pay-per-view or whatever like that, and just seeing Real American hit, and just literally your eyes light up when you see the yellow and red. But he was larger than life for a lot of us, and you can't take that away from him.
You really can't. When you are filled with, I feel, when you're filled with so much hate, you rob your own self of your childhood. And Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, whatever you want to call him, he's our childhood. He is, and we said the same thing about Vince McMahon too. Without Vince McMahon, though he did terrible things outside of the ring, backstage, he is our Walt Disney. He is the person that created what we now know and love, and what we fell in love with, which is the World Wrestling Entertainment that we know it now. And without Vince McMahon's contributions to this industry, we wouldn't be talking about any of this shit today. And that's the same thing with Terry Bollea, with Hulk Hogan. Without his contributions, we would not be sitting here having this tribute for Hulk Hogan and not feel crushed, man, because I felt so just defeated because, losing Malcolm Jamal Warner, who you and I both grew up with, was a blow. Ozzy Osbourne was a major blow. And now we have to face the fact that Hulk Hogan is no longer here, and that is just, it's like, holy God, we are getting it's like time travels so fast. Time goes so fast, and it makes you realize that time is really just precious, and we shouldn't waste and focus our energy on hate? Because, Bubba, how can you hate a guy who's no longer here?
Right. And I'll say this, when talking about hate, my perspective, and again, I'm way out there in perspectives. If you present yourself as a hateful person, you'll get hate back.
Yes.
And that is how the universe works.
Yes.
And so what I say to people now, and going through my own little journey, is go out and just have a smile on your face and stop and say to somebody, hold the door and say, how you doing? And just that little action can make their day. And then they pay it forward to the next person because they're happy. That happiness spreads around and love spreads around to different people. And that's more of that's not really related to Terry Bollea or anything like that. It's more of like how I think.
It is
perspective.
Well, it kind of is related to Terry Bollea because, you know, he gave his life to Christ. He was baptized. Like I saw this like 3 months ago or something like that. Yeah. He gave his life to Christ, and he, you know, I think he realized that he himself did some pretty questionable shit. Right. And it's that self-enlightenment inside of you, and it takes time. It doesn't, you know, this doesn't happen overnight, and it takes time for you to come to grips with yourself and say, you know what, man, maybe I wasn't the person that I could have been or wanted to be or I should have been. Right. So now is the time for me to change it. And what's sad is that he really didn't have much time to change it.
Yeah, and I mean, baptism was part of it. I mean, I will consider myself a Christian now, but maybe that was him trying to redeem himself for the things that he said, because it's not about one's legacy. I mean, that, to me, okay, if he was thinking about fixing his legacy, or you know, I don't agree with that. If he is going to baptism and he didn't really go out and say, hey, you know, I'm doing this to try to, he did it in private. So it was a personal choice that he made to say, I want to be better. I want to follow Christ, follow God. Yeah. And again, from a Christian perspective, I think that's great because part of a lot of things that we deal with is guilt, and being a better person, being a better human being is just releasing that guilt, because guilt consumes us. Guilt is causing stress. Stress causes physical ailments. So it's reciprocative. Before this call, I was watching a social media video, and there was a group of people in a sports bar, and they were chanting racist slurs or just slurs at Hulk Hogan. Just the tribute video that I think the WWE had. And there's no need for that. Again, hate produces hate.
There's a time and place for everything, and now is not the time.
Right. Because we're talking about Terry Bollea, but we also need to think about Nick, Linda, Brooke, and that latest wife,
Sky.
Sky.
Yeah.
Her, I mean, she was part of this journey with Barry, and now he's gone. I mean, from a person, and I lost my father in 2015, but yeah, grief is just miserable. And I think what I would like to convey is we need to think about the families and the people that are going through this right now. Grief is going to be a part of their life for a while, and they need all the support they can get. Hate doesn't factor in that, that calculation. Hate destroys. We need to build up.
Really, honestly, man, beautifully said. I couldn't have said it better myself. When you heard the news initially, Bubba, how did you take it?
Shock, first off, and just sadness for his family. And I hate to say this, but Brooke, and I saw news, and I'm not sure if you guys cover this or not, she was estranged from her dad.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I didn't say goodbye to my dad. She didn't say goodbye to her dad. So sadness.
Yeah.
And, after that, it's, what I'm talking here is remembrance and nostalgia, pride, and those things that's kind of like I talk about. He was the man. How many? Okay. Well, he was on, not Baywatch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Baywatch. Yeah.
Yeah, but he had Tropic Thunder, whatever.
Tropic Thunder 1, 2, and 3. He was also in, of course, Rocky.
Right.
And
there's this giant, there's millions, probably billions of people that a piece of their life was Hulk Hogan.
Mhm.
And yeah, it gave them happiness. I don't understand how we can be consumed with this much hate.
Well, and what throws me is that I don't know if you watched SmackDown on Friday,
Right.
but they had a tribute for Hogan,
Right.
and they started it off with the chants of Hogan. But the ironic thing is, Bubba, is that when they debuted on Netflix, the first day they debuted on Netflix, they were in California, and he walked out and got he was just slammed with booze. And it's because people can't get past the controversy that he created and the mistakes that he made, that he was trying to better himself. The thing is, you're absolutely right. We need to start looking at the person that made the impact in the industry that we love versus the person who portrayed that character. It's just, we have to, there has to be a time where we have to get over that. You have to grow up, but don't cast the first stone if you don't want to be judged.
It's also the society that we're in. It's just a lot of hate and resentment and social media. Anytime you Google Hulk Hogan, the first thing that you're going to see is controversy. And nobody even looks at, okay, well, what did he do to make him who he is today?
Right.
And again, I'll hark on this. That's a 16th of a fraction of a percent of Terry Bollea. Maybe it's bigger, maybe it's not. It doesn't matter. That's not, I don't think, who he was every day of his life. Even, I would say at the end of the end of his life, he was making amends or trying to be a better person. We are all flawed. Every one of us. We could probably all be canceled. Look at the amount of stuff.
Yeah.
If you recorded in our private conversations, every one of us, we would be canceled. We have to look objectively at things, not just black and white. And I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, I feel sadness for his family. They're going to go through a lot, and the hate being generated over his controversies are hurting them. That's it. That's what's happening.
And sadly, I think they're going to be haunted by that for a long time. And that's sad because they don't need to be. They don't need to have that black cloud over their head of what he was trying to repair.
No.
And the amount of grief that the family is going through doesn't really amount to anything of what the grief of the family feels.
Right. They got to go through the 7 steps of grief, I think. And those 7 steps are different for each person. And just this hate given towards their father, Linda, ex-husband, it's going to make the process worse. And you can have conversations about his actions, but not now.
It's weird because if he wasn't in the limelight,
right,
this stuff goes on all the time. And it kind of magnifies it to times a million because of the level that he was on, because he is Hulk Hogan.
Right. I mean, again, we don't condone his actions or what he said.
Not at all.
No. We have to look at it objectively. And has anyone calculated how much time? I'm going to talk about Terry Bollea has actually, donated time to children's. I heard a story that Ric Flair said when he lost his son, Terry gave him money, I think twice, and he didn't want to pay back. I mean, just those actions. Kind of talk about the actual character Terry Bollea outside of the actual Hulk Hogan, the man himself.
Yeah, and I want to highlight this. You were talking about his charitable work. He did do a lot of charitable work. He did for Make-A-Wish Foundation. He helped fulfill over 200 wishes for children with critical illnesses during the height of his wrestling career. He also had the 50 Leg Drops Foundation. He helped grow the organization, providing prosthetics to amputees. Also, he was involved with the Boys and Girls Club of America and events in Tampa. Some other causes, the Special Olympics, American Diabetes Association. He was also part of the Dream Seekers Foundation. He co-founded that organization to help Native American youth. So, his charitable contribution still absolutely makes a difference.
Yeah, but I guess to go back to it, sadness. I mean, we have so much footage of him, and and just the legacy. There's so much knowledge that young wrestlers, young actors, young entertainers can just go back and look at Hogan's heel turn and just mannerisms and other things that he would do to hype up the crowd. There's such a vast library of knowledge of just himself doing what he does that people can learn from. It's what we also need to look at, focus on.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Bubba, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. It was really good to talk to you, man. How's everything going with you?
Good. It's been good. I think if you notice something different about this interview, I would say there's one Bellamy Brothers song that I recommend everyone listen to. And it's very much a description of what my life has been. And Dizzy knows the song. Mm-hmm. And it's called Old Hippie by the Bellamy Brothers. Do you remember the first line of that song?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot here. I don't off the top of my head. I know the chorus, though, very well.
No. That's about the first line is, he turned 35 this Sunday, and his hair had found some gray. And it was like that, and talk about how, as an individual, we have to adapt and change for the future. And I think the second line of the song is how we try to keep those old ways going. And that's kind of what I am. It's what I do. And so, yes, listen to that song. It's a very good song. And my last statement would be is just do something every day to make someone's life just a little bit better.
Couldn't have said it better, my friend. Thank you for jumping on here, and thank you for talking to us today about Terry Bollea. Also, man, I want to thank you for your contributions to this show in previous years, man. Do you ever miss podcasting? Do you ever want to come back?
This is a very different culture than when we started. I would probably get canceled within 2.5 weeks. Not just from my feelings, just the way I talk, and not from, I don't do vulgarity anymore. Yeah. But 2.5 weeks.
Nah,
Done.
That's okay. That's all right. We won't cancel you. We won't cancel you.
Now, you guys won't. There's other things that, like everyone else, you have to worry about now.
Oh, well, I think we can cross that bridge when we get there, man. And you are always welcome on this program. And so, just want to thank you for coming on. It was really, really good to hear from you. And our fans love to hear from you, too. And your fans, honestly, they love to hear from you, too. So thanks again for taking some time out of your schedule to talk some Hulk Hogan with us today, bud.
Oh, not a problem.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
You really just can't get enough of Bubba,
that was a nice conversation. That's great hearing from him. I haven't heard from him in I know you played a clip from him a few months back. You added something to the show, but that's really nice. I'm glad he was able to do that.
I am too. It's always nice to catch up with him, and it's always nice to be able to talk to him. He's gone through a lot of changes himself,
Yeah, and that's one thing that life does is when you hit a bump in the road, like just for example, he's talking about he hit a certain age and you're doing certain things. Yeah. Me, I've had. Now, this by no means is I'm trying to compare myself to Hogan, but I jokingly did it with my friends. Is because I've had 3 back surgeries, and my joke was, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna start my wrestling career," and oh yeah, and by the way, I'm trying to catch up to him. No, by no means I would ever want to catch up that many surgeries to him. I can't even imagine what he went through, and if you know what he went through. With the steel rod, the steel going all the way up and down his back. It's just, and the pictures of the equipment in his body that they removed a couple of years ago and him learning how to walk again. It's like, oh my God, when I had my back fusion, I had to learn how to walk again. And, man, it's scary. And when stuff like that happens, it makes you think about life differently. It really does. I mean, and it doesn't affect that to everyone, but for me, it certainly did. And I think it kind of made me grow up in a certain way.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
man, yeah,
And you know, like I said, we've all gone through personal changes in our life,
yeah,
and it's kind of eye opening. It's weird because we lost five, you know what Bubba and I were talking about. We lost five influential people, three of them the biggest ones, and it just kind of makes you question your own mortality.
yeah,
You know, it makes you question, like, okay, do I really have to start changing myself? Because you never know anymore. You never ever know. And it sucks that we've lost such an icon. I mean, Kevin Nash said it best. I mean, icon doesn't even cover what Hulk Hogan has done.
yeah.
And there's not enough thank yous in this world to show appreciation for what Hulk Hogan has done for this industry, for this business. And we will miss you, Hogan. And at this time, J-Bone, I would like to do the 10 bell salute. So I'm going to remove my hat
Sounds good.
and let's ring the bells for Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea. Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, passing away at the age of 71 years old. He will never, ever, ever be forgotten for the amount of time that he spent perfecting his craft, for making a difference in the professional wrestling world, for setting the ground, for laying the groundwork for other professional wrestlers to come in and do what he did. You just can't say enough good things about Hulk Hogan in that capacity. J-Bone, some final words from you on Hulk Hogan and just everything that you're feeling, man. Final words.
Yeah, it's a part of your childhood that's gone. There's so many good memories to look back on, and things that felt so big, throughout your life. And then you grow up and you're still watching wrestling. Wrestling is always evolving and changing. And then he goes from the Hulkster, the Hulkamania to the NWO, and then he's always evolved throughout his journey in the professional wrestling, sports entertainment, being a superstar, however you want to say it. His rivalries will always be something of legend for the younger generations to look back on and to learn from. What to do, what not to do, whatever, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it's hard, but at least, like you said, we've got the memories. At least we have that,
Absolutely.
We'll always have those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing can take those away from us. I'd like to take this time and first and foremost thank you for tuning in to our Hogan tribute tonight. We worked really hard on this, and we wanted to make this a very positive show for you to remember Hulk Hogan. Thank you for all the wonderful comments that you've left on the chat here, and for hanging out with us this evening. Hogan was extremely polarizing and a trailblazer for professional wrestling, helping to take the WWF and the WCW to new heights. His contributions to this sport we all love so much will always be remembered, celebrated, and honored. Hogan was a complicated man, always had controversy surrounding him, and it's led to some very unsavory comments from me personally on this show. Though I didn't agree with how he handled his character development, one thing is undeniable. He was the biggest thing that walked inside of that ring. Heads turned when he stepped between those ropes. So I would like to publicly apologize for any unsavory or negative comments that I've ever said about both Hulk Hogan as the wrestler and Terry Bollea as the man. I truly, truly believe in my heart that he tried to turn his life around after accepting Christ as a savior. I think he tried to right all of his wrongs that he could. Unfortunately, he just ran out of time. If you take anything away from this tonight, take this. Don't hate. Don't hate someone for their mistakes that they've made. The only thing that we can do as humans is to learn how to see those mistakes made and forgive the person that made them. Thank you for tuning in tonight to our Hogan tribute. And don't forget that Saturday, SummerSlam is on the air Saturday and Sunday. You need to start thinking about which Rambler you want to side with when we do our predictions. We're going to do our predictions on Saturday afternoon before the show. So we're going to do both nights, predictions for both nights on Saturday. We'll come back and review the show on Saturday right after SummerSlam is off the air. And then we'll come back again, hopefully for Sunday night, and do the same thing. And then on Tuesday, Max will tally all the votes or all the predictions that we have. And somebody's going to walk away with some Ramblers merchandise, some free Ramblers Unleashed merchandise. So think about who you want to side with, which Rambler is going to win you that Ramblers Unleashed merchandise for absolutely free, because it's SummerSlam season, and why not, right? And you want to choose me because I'm the best, right?
But I'm the wisest, so make sure you pick J-Bone.
Right. Harley Race.
Pick Harley Race, yes. Harley Race wins all the matches, yes.
Again, thank you for tuning in to our Hogan tribute tonight, and we heard a lot from a lot of great people. Thank you so much to Bubba. Thank you to CM Styles. Thank you to my buddy Chris. Thank you to Matt Pilger. Thank you to G-Rod. Thank you to Chris Oni for helping us share their tributes and their thoughts and their opinions on Hulk Hogan. And Mir, you just might need to defend that title. You never know. You never know. It's SummerSlam season, baby. So we will talk to you on Saturday. If you would like to follow the other two, since they are on assignment tonight, you can do so by following Max Magus at Max Magus. His other show that he has is Random Shots Podcast, and you can Google that, Random Shots. And he works hard on that other program he has as well. The Baron, yeah, simple. Scumbag Jordan with 3 N's. 3 N's. Scumbag Jordan. And they'll be back on Saturday afternoon to talk some SummerSlam, because they wouldn't miss SummerSlam. But J-Bone, how can they follow you, sir?
You can follow me on the old Twitter box at JBone5150. That's JAYBONE 5150. You can also find me over on that other little show on Thursdays doing live reactions and reviews for all things TNA on Total Nonstop Impact. Join us.
Yes, and please come back here on Saturday afternoon. I'll let you know on social media when we'll be on. You can follow us on X at The Ramblers Pod. You can find us on Facebook at Ramblers Unleashed, and we will be back here on Saturday to give you our predictions for SummerSlam. We want you to pick whatever Rambler you think has the better predictions for SummerSlam, and the closest Rambler that gets it, you could walk away with some free Ramblers Unleashed merchandise. By the way, all of our merch is in the links below. J-Bone's merch is in the links below. And go support us, man. That's what we ask. So, we work hard for this show, and just go buy a hoodie or buy a hat or buy something for us, and
or a pin
or a little sticker, something that says you love us, and it will be greatly appreciated. So until Saturday, please enjoy professional wrestling for what it is. Whatever promotion you watch, we will be here to talk about it. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. J-Bone, final words before we get out of here tonight, sir. Okay. He's talking to his wife. So, J-Bone, final words, J-Bone?
Hug your loved ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go. And until Saturday, we will do it all over again. So enjoy professional wrestling, and we'll see you SummerSlam, baby. Thank you, Hulk Hogan. We love you.
Thanks for tuning in to Ramblers Unleashed. Follow the show on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the bell icon for notifications of upcoming episodes.
J-Bone, it's okay to go to bed now.
Oh, thanks.